this message is to encourage patience and to continue to surrender and pay attention to the small things that are taking place in your reality, as to not dismiss the progression to the larger thing that's coming, right? Love, light, peace, and abundance, y'all. I was about to hit record and forgot I didn't have my earrings on. And it's darker. I'm recording this video later than I normally do, so I had to do something with my lighting. So let me know how it looks. Let me know. I don't know. Okay, so I am burning some resin that I brought back from my trip. I went to one of the spiritual stores out there, and I bought a bunch of resin. So I got some resin burning. I got some anise burning, star anise, and I got an eagle's feather while I was there. So I'm using my eagle's feather as well. However, I will that you are experiencing an abundance of peace, happiness, and joy. It is September the 17th. I don't know when you'll actually see this recording. However, it is September 17th. And I feel like with all spiritual communications, it's timeless. So I am sure that whenever this message finds you, that it will have exactly what you need at the time that you will be able to benefit from it the most. I don't have anything specific lined up. You see the smoke? I don't have anything specific lined up to share. I did do ceremony before I started. So the energy is clear. The space is open. There is something that came to my mind that's been in my thoughts that I wanted to just, kick back and share with you all. I wanted to just, nothing too formal, but I just wanted to express and see where it goes from there, right? So I was thinking about how let me try my water. I was thinking about how, excuse me, thinking about how when we agree to come here to fulfill whatever our divine purpose is, whatever we gave our word we would do, that there are different spiritual contracts that were put in place, right? Like different entities, different spirits, different souls agreed to meet up in this lifetime to, for a variety of different reasons, right? However, the idea is that we made a contract, we made an agreement, and so many of us experience meeting people that seem like a chance encounter, or we meet someone that can truly see us or cause us to feel seen, cause us to feel loved, held, nurtured, cared for, and so many other things, right? Sometimes there's someone that comes into our life for a reason or a season that is short-lived, right? Where they may come to respond to a specific need at that time, or like an angel in disguise, as some people may call them. That is the fulfillment of an energetic contract, a soul contract. And it got me to thinking about how free will really is a thing, right? Like, there are multiple universal laws and principles that's in place, right? That the universe, the creation, is governed by, because when source went into motion to create, to duplicate source itself, there were certain principles and laws that was embedded into the creation that we all follow, whether we know it or not. Some of us break it and we receive the reward for breaking it. However, one of the things that was also built in to the original design is free will, right? So we actually have the free will to choose one thing or another on a general basis, right? Like on a universal basis, we have free will. And because free will really is a thing, right? Although there are soul contracts or energetic contracts that we have with other entities, other souls, other spirits, other beings, there are times where as a human, free will is utilized to not keep that agreement, right? To not carry out the word that was given in the unseen. And as a result, there has to be a shift, right? Like there's a altering or shifting in being sure that whatever was the purpose of that energetic contract is still fulfilled, because one of the two parties is still keeping their word. However, what was really resonating is that everybody has the free will to choose to not keep their, to not keep their word. And as a result, the one that is keeping their word, the one that is the recipient of that energetic agreement, that soul contract, is experiencing a moment or a lapse of receiving whatever was supposed to be received or experienced or made known or whatever the case may be. This came to my mind because I was exploring the idea, or I'll say the idea dropped in my spirit, where there are some of us whose, I don't know if I want to say abundance, but I'll say it, however, I'll say it this way. There are some of us who are awaiting a reward, right? Whatever it may be in your own particular situation. However, are awaiting a reward from the diligence, the consistency, the trust, the faith, the dedication, the determination that we've lived in our path to remembering who we are and why we came here, right? In essence, to keep our word. And it is time for us to experience or receive a reward. And some of us, the reward is overdue, right? However, because that reward, receiving that reward involves it coming through a channel here in the 3D and the unseen, that involves other humans, right? And what resonated in my spirit is that sometimes the delay is as a result of the free will choice that the other person chose, right? Like they may not, I don't know how it works in terms of the specifics. However, I was imagining, I know for myself, sometimes I get a nudge or an inclination to call somebody, or it'll drop in my spirit the memory of someone, and I'll send them a positive thought, right? Sometimes I might call them if I get the nudge to call them. I might look them up on social media just to check and see how they're doing. Sometimes you meet somebody and you get an inclination to give them $1, right? Or to offer them a ride. Like I not too long ago had a experience where I was on a whole nother mission, minding my business, taking care of my business for the day. And I came across someone, a woman who was in need of a ride somewhere. And it was dropped in my spirit. It resonated for me to offer her the ride. And I did that. And I stayed with her until her idea was completed. And she was in a safe space to await her husband to come and pick her up. So things like that, right? Like I had the free will choice. I could have said no and she still would have got to where she needed to get to. However, because I said no, then her getting there was delayed, right? Because I was there. It was in alignment, in assignment, in the agreement for me to take her. I choose something else, and then her getting there is delayed because now it has to be reorchestrated for someone else to come and pick her up, or someone else to cross her path for her to be able to get there, or, you know, however the particulars of that work. And I was thinking how some of us are awaiting our reward, our blessing, our gift, if you will, because someone chose not to keep their word. And I don't really know. Well, I guess I do. I was about to say, I don't really know why that dropped in my spirit. However, it just came to me because some of us are feeling a little anxious. Some of us are letting doubt creep in. And we have to understand that there are multiple things at play. There's multiple moving pieces happening at one time. And just because a thing doesn't come in at the time where we think it was going to come in, or maybe our spirit team or guys told us it was going to come in, doesn't mean that it's not coming, right? Obviously, something took place to where there was an adjustment that needed to be made. And sometimes it's the individual who was involved exercising their free will to choose something else, or it could be that there's something else that we need to give attention to, right? It's something else that requires our attention to elevate, to shift, to integrate. You know, it could be a myriad of different things. However, we are too close for us to allow doubt to creep in and take a hold or root itself. Excuse me, I am at the tail end of my body purging some things out. I don't know if you've seen the previous video. However, I did express it in that video. So pardon my coughing if it irritates you or it annoys you. It is my body doing what it needs to do so that I can be at the vibration and frequency I need to be. So I'm honoring that. And I'm not so high tech to where I can pause it every time I cough. So again, bear with me. And I appreciate your grace and your understanding. So we are at the time where the rewards are coming, right? Like there is about to be a big shift. It's already happened. However, some of us may not have quite felt it, and some of us may have felt it. However, don't quite see the evidence in our 3D at this time. So this message is to encourage patience and to continue to surrender and pay attention to the small things that are taking place in your reality, as to not dismiss the progression to the larger thing that's coming, right? I know I was having a thought during the full moon lunar eclipse, and it actually was coming in before then, and I really didn't understand where it was coming from, where I was like, well, what if, you know, what if, I'll just say that I was in a what if space, and I spoke with my spirit team about it. They assured me, and you know, I meditated and I was shown some things and I had some experiences, and then I went to an event, and while I was at the event, there was a gentleman that approached me that was sent by the unseen, that was utilized as a divine vessel to share with me a myriad of messages that was confirmation to the conversation that I had been having with the unseen, with my spirit team, with my guides, right? So it was the assurance, the seal, right? Because I already felt assured that my vibration was high. I was in a great place. I had worked through the energy. I had identified the root of it and recognized that it was the residual, you know, with the lunar moon eclipse. It was bringing to the surface some things that we needed to give attention to, right? So that we could weed out and release that which no longer serves us. And I'm no exception. So I had the experience as well. And I was good after I was good, right? I was proud of myself because I allowed and I honored the space that my human was in, that my material was in, right? And I didn't judge myself for having the feelings or the experience. And because I recognized what was happening, in terms of the energy and the feelings I was having, and I placed it on the altar, right? Like I spoke to my spirit team about it, and in me being vulnerable and transparent with them, I was able to receive the clarity and the understanding that I needed concerning what was taking place. So I was good. Now, having that experience ensured, like it engraved, it stamped it that I was good, because I'm like, I was in such gratitude that I was recognized, I was seen, I was held, right? Like I'm usually the person that I see you. I see you, I see the essence of you, I see your light, I see the things that you're struggling with, I see your battles, I see the parts where you would benefit from giving yourself grace, from giving yourself compassion, for loving on yourself, for honoring yourself in your journey. So for someone to see me, right, to see me, it was finally the mirror being held up in front of me, right? And I remember I did a video, I transcribed and translated a communication, a transmission, to where it was being shared that we were going to be in rooms, being around people, that was going to be a mirror, right, of who we are and where we're going and what we're going to do, and all of the things that we already know, because we've been doing the work, because we've been being consistent and diligent in our healing process, and excuse me, and working through our shadow, you know, working with our shadow, acknowledging the light in the dark within ourselves, and honoring the space of growth and evolution, right? Because we've been doing that, it has created a space where now we're going to see the evidence of the work that we've been doing. Because if you're anything like me, you've gone through the hermit mode. You've gone through the isolation. You've gone through the separating yourself from people who you thought were friends and family. Those that you thought loved you. Those that you thought had your best interest at heart. You've gone through a period. Like, and I'm not talking about a couple of days. I'm talking about like a long stretch of time of really focusing on you and your evolution and your growth and your healing, right? And it may have started not even by your choice. It may have been circumstances that led to this point to where you had to go in isolation. Either way, you didn't run from it, right? You embraced it, even when it didn't make sense, even when your reality felt like, excuse me, felt like it was falling apart. You were present. You know what I'm saying? You were present and you stayed locked in. So as a result, there has been a lot of things energetically and spiritually that have been taking place while you were in hibernation. And much of it you don't see because you're so close, right, to your growth, to your own process, because it's you, right? And because we don't see ourselves, then it's going to take for mirrors to reflect to us who we are, right? Who we are, and not necessarily who we are, because we know who we are, or we've come into an awareness of who we are, but to reflect to us the beauty of who we are. That's what I want to say. The beauty of who we are. I seen somebody today on a video and they were speaking about the butterfly. And it reminded me of a poem that I wrote. And one of the lines was that the butterfly doesn't see the beauty of its own wings, right? It flies around aimlessly, just living and being, while others are looking on and bearing witness to the beauty. However, at some point, being a human, going through the process from caterpillar to chrysalis to butterfly, we have to be able to, I don't know, let's see. I feel like the lighting, excuse me. We have to be able to see the reflection of the beauty that we actually are. We actually embody. We've actually become. So we're going to be in spaces. We're going to be in rooms. We're going to be around people who bear witness to the beauty, who are going to magnify and amplify to us the beauty. And this conversation that I had with this gentleman, it was beautiful because he shared the reflection of me that he saw, right? Like he saw me. He saw my essence. He shared that my essence is exuding from me, right? My light, he said, it's clear that you've been touched by the Most High, right? And, people utilize the language that they know. So, you gotta be wise to be able to decipher it based upon how you communicate with the Most High, right? The language that you resonate most with. So everything he shared was in alignment with what I know the Most High, my spirit team, has shared with me, and what I know to be true because I'm the one doing the work, right? Like I'm the one that's living this thing. So I know because I'm living it. However, we are in a time. We are in that time. And the brother approaching me at the event, at the end of the event, it bear witness to the transmission that I received because he was being a mirror to me. And the beautiful thing about it, and I'm going to keep on saying this, is that he was in integrity, right? Like he willingly surrendered to be the vessel that the Most High was utilizing. So it goes back to that choice, right? Like that was a contract being completed because he kept his word to share with me what needed to be shared. He didn't know the depth of what that was going to produce when he shared it with me, right? He said that Spirit tapped him on the shoulder excuse me, when I was performing, and shared that he needed to share this with me, right? He needed to say something to me. And he approached me, and it turned into something completely more than what he had even anticipated. And I allowed myself, I won't even say I allowed myself, because where I am now and what I embody now is the grace and the compassion and the vulnerability that I create space for everyone else. I've created it for myself. So I allow myself to be who I am, right? I was in alignment and harmony with being who I am. So when the energy arose and it came out as tears, I allowed them to flow, right? Like he was a stranger in body, but in spirit, we already knew each other, right? Like as far as I'm concerned, we already knew each other because there was some agreement somewhere along the way that at this point in my journey, at this point in his journey, we would cross paths and he would allow himself to be utilized and I would allow myself to receive. So it was a beautiful experience. I mean, I really, it's so much that I want to say about it. However, he remained in integrity, right? He didn't try to hit on me. He didn't ask me for my number. He wasn't trying to be fresh. Nothing. He really just held me like a divine masculine does the divine feminine. And he just held me. And he continued to pour into me as I was crying, as I was expressing gratitude. He just continued to pour into me. And I'm grateful for that experience, right? I'm grateful for that because we need those kinds of experiences, right? Like we need those supernatural experiences that come out of the blue, right? Like they're totally unexpected. and they nourish our soul, right? They nourish our spirit. They coddle and cradle our heart. You know what I mean? So you may be experiencing some things as well that's having a similar impact on you. It doesn't have to be the same thing as me. In whatever way resonates with you and where you are in your journey, you may be experiencing this frequency, this vibration. And I'm encouraging you, if you are not already, to completely open yourself to receive in all the ways that are available for you to receive, because it's time. It's time for you to see the beauty of who you are. It's time for what it is that you've given and done for so many others, for you to experience that in return. You know how many times I've seen somebody crying and I've gone to them and hugged them and just held space for them? You know how many times I've hugged someone and they were able to put the bags down, to drop the load and just cry in my arms? So for me to experience someone bringing me a divine message that confirms that I'm right where I'm supposed to be and I'm in alignment, right? Because sometimes on this spiritual journey, you know, sometimes you wonder, right? Like, it's a human thing. And I used to feel like a way about having those feelings, because I felt like if I have those feelings, then it's taken away from my spiritual alignment. It's taken away from the fact that I really do trust. I really do believe, right? Like, I really do honor what it is that I'm receiving from the unseen. And I had to realize that that doesn't mean that at all. It means that I'm human. And I had operated in my spiritual self for so long that I had forgotten my human. I had forgotten I was human. Like, I had detached from my emotions. I had detached from situations and experiences, from being able to call them what they are in the 3D, because I was seeing the spiritual reason why it was taking place. And even when I didn't understand, I rested in the unknown that it will become known, because it was divinely allowed to take place the way that it did, right? However, I had to get to a point where, yes, all of that is true and all of that is powerful, and I should continue to do that. However, when it comes up that I want to express the physical of what it is that's taking place, that's well within my right as a human to do so. It doesn't take away from my divinity at all. So maybe that's a message that someone needs to hear as well, that, you know, it is in alignment to call a spade, right? Like, if someone is mistreating you, if someone is taking you for granted or taking advantage of you, if someone is using you and abusing you, it is in alignment for you to call a spade. It doesn't mean that because you leave a situation where you weren't being treated properly, that you're not in alignment with your divine purpose. It means that you're choosing your divine purpose over being treated unfairly. You're choosing you, right? We have the right to choose us. And in order to actually grow and evolve in our remembering of who we are and why we came here, we got to get to